Well, what do we have here? Herolean by Dark Labs. I'm Nader from FitFrek, and this is a very concentrated fat-burning thermogenic pre-workout powder coming from the hardcore company Dark Labs. Before you do consider this, do know that this has exotic stimulants, is not for beginners, and you should be used to taking 300 milligrams of caffeine at least, or else you might find this a little bit too much. With that out of the way, if you don't know who I am, I'm Nader. I started working out in 2004, and in 2007 I started using supplements. I have nearly 2 decades of pre-workout experience, and in this video I'm giving you a full breakdown of the label as well as an unbiased, unsponsored, truthful review. So, as you know, Herolean had a previous version that had DMAA, DMHA, and like this much yohimbine. No joke, it was chaos. I'll explain more in the experience, but first, let me break down the label real quick and let me ask you a question. How do you like if I broke down the label in a very simple manner, point by point, and then get into experience without talking too much about the formula? Would you prefer that? Please let me know in the comments. So let me get to the point about this label. So this is a very thermogenic overview. The overview of this formula is a very thermogenic type of performance enhancing thermogenic pre-workout powder. I said that already, but this has no real workout performance enhancing ingredients. That's not to say it's not going to increase your performance, but if you're looking for maximizing your performance in the gym as an athlete, you want to perform at your top, this isn't going to be for you. This is more like a fat burning cocktail of ingredients, full of fat burning type of ingredients, thermogenics, let's say. So let's get down to the label. The first ingredient is 2.5 grams of L-carnitine L-tartrate. That's a good dose. That's clinical dose right there. It helps with energy production as well as fat metabolism, helping you burn more fat. Raspberry ketones. This helps as well with breaking down fatty cells. Then we have caffeine, 300 milligrams, the grandfather of stimulants. This is going to increase alertness, energy, as well as fat burning. There's also research on that, by the way. Energized, a mood enhancing ingredient that's going to increase neurotransmitters that help you feel good, should lead to more focus, more motivation, and especially useful when you're cutting because you need some of that mood enhancing properties. DMHA. Of course, there has to be some kind of exotic stimulant in here. Besides aerogenesis, DMHA is another exotic stimulant. So there's 2 main exotic stimulants in here, and it's dosed at 225 milligrams. This is a moderate dose, or at least that's what it's considered to be. There's no real research of the long-term effects, so be careful. Use it and then take a break from it. Use something else, and use it intelligently. Don't over-abuse it. It'll help increase energy and has less effects on the blood pressure and heart rate compared to DMAA, the counterpart alternative, which is supposed to be replaced by DMHA. So, caffeine citrate, a fast absorbing, fast hitting form of caffeine. Caffeine malate, slow digesting form of caffeine, so you get some long lasting caffeine and you get some long lasting energy levels, And then phocoxanthin. This is going to help burn fat at a cellular level, meaning it'll literally attack fat cells directly. Then we have super synfrine. This is an anxiety type of ingredient where it's supposed to help with fat metabolism as well as energy, and it'll make you feel a little bit anxious, a little bit jittery. That's how super synfrine is. But it's dosed at 25 milligrams. It's not too much, but it'll be there. Of course, that's the formula. The experience might be different, right? And then we have Pro-GBB. This will help with the body's production of carnitine, helping increase fat burning and fat metabolism. already went over that one. The text is so small. I have to like pause for a good second here. Black pepper extract is going to help increase the effectiveness and bioavailability with all the other ingredients that it's taken with. And then we have alpha yohimbine. This is also another stimulant that will help with fat burning, but it does have that side effect of making you feel a little bit anxious, maybe some jitters if you're not used to taking the caffeine combined with alpha yohimbine and DMHA. So it's supposed to, like, it'll give you that anxious feeling. Some people might like that uncomfortable stimulant feeling where you feel anxious and jittery. But that's the label. There's no citrulline, there's no beta-alanine. So if you're looking for a pre-workout thermogenic with exotic stimulants and without beta-alanine, there's nothing. This Herolean might be the one. But the experience. So let me go over the first version real quick. I already reviewed it in depth, but I'll go over it just for like a quick 10 seconds or like 10 seconds to a minute. So the first version was one of the most chaotic fat burners I've ever used. It was so overwhelming at some times and unpleasant and almost torturous. And a lot of people complained about the yohimbine. So when people saw this formula, they were disappointed because they didn't see the yohimbine. So Dark Labs, you know, they listened to feedback, they paid attention to the yohimbine part, they took it off. The DMAA, they're always trying to, I mean, not always, but they're trying to become more, I don't know, like I don't want to say mainstream, but they're trying to become more compliant because they've been doing DMAA for a while. And so the first version was really dirty, like unpleasant, torturous. The next version, which is this one, V2, doesn't have DMAA or doesn't have a lot of yohimbine, right? The old one had 13 milligrams. This one has 1 milligram. So the major downsides, right? And there was always cold sweats with that version and everything. So let me get to this version, this formula. So drinking this, there was some really nice mood support. I was all of a sudden in a good mood. It was almost instant when I was drinking this. And there was a slight increase in how I felt inside, like the warmth. In the first version, there was like a ball going on, like a ball of flame. And it was so overwhelming. I felt the burning, like it was so obvious. But with this version, the burning wasn't there so much. It was more subtle, but it was still there. I still noticed it. And with a little bit of movement, I felt it a little bit more. And climbing on the stair climber, I was already sweating after like a minute or two, but that's usually the case with me. I'm a sweaty guy. I like to sweat. And so it really does increase energy. It increases mood. Mood elevation is there, but it's not like Zeus where you want to play music and dance around. It was more like just good mood. Like if you were expecting to be in a good mood from a pre-workout, this is what you would get. But if you want happy, where you're just happy, no, I don't think you'll feel it with this. You might, if you're used to taking non-exotic type of pre-workouts, you'll really like this one for the mood effects. But that's not to say just because I've been taking high-stim pre-workouts that I don't feel it as much. I do feel it, especially because yesterday I took a pre-workout that didn't have any effect on mood at all. It just felt like a little bit of caffeine, that's it. But with this, mood elevation was there. It was really nice. And after using this a few times, I've come to the conclusion it doesn't really increase performance in the gym. It increases energy. And all the fat, you know, it's being attacked from different angles. There's the fat cells breaking down, and there's the carnitine shuttling the energy or the fat cells into energy, helping you, transform those fatty cells into use. And then we have other ingredients that also make you feel like you're like increasing your metabolism. The heat will really increase in your body. You really feel it, but it's not overwhelming. This feels like a much toned down version compared to the last version, and it's not bad. You'll like this for a thermogenic powder, but not as a pre-workout. Even combining this with a nitric oxide booster, it was just slightly better, but it wasn't omega. Even though the nitric oxide booster I was taking was like stacked, I felt it was kind of hard to breathe on this. The anxiety and the jitters was like building up kind of, and doing squats, it was just a little bit harder to breathe. It wasn't so easy. You know, some pre-workouts make it easy to breathe. This one definitely doesn't have that effect. So you will you will find yourself having to remind yourself to take deep breaths in and keep doing it consistently, because that will really help. Because oxygen, of course, is used in the muscles, and the more you breathe, you know, or the more stimulants you take, the harder it gets to breathe because of the vasoconstriction. Your blood vessels constrict. This is a normal occurrence that happens from caffeine. So imagine combining alpha yohimban, supersynfron, different caffeine forms, DMHA, aerogenesis. You're going to have a cocktail of a mess when it comes to energy and your heart rate, right? But I didn't feel survival mode. This is much more toned down compared to the last version. I can handle this a lot better. The last version, I struggled to go to the gym, and even going for a walk, I was like, it was so overwhelming. But this, not so much. Just in between those high intensity, really heavy compound lifts like squats, it was a little bit harder to perform at my best. And so with that being said, I do prefer to use this on an off day, you know, when I'm sitting on a computer or something, just to get something going. And I don't feel the cold sweats, especially after the last version. I don't feel it on this one. So if you're super sensitive to yohimban, maybe you'll feel it, maybe you won't. But Dark Labs has always had a track record of using reputable formulas and ingredients. So with that being said, I didn't use the whole bottle, so I can't tell you if I lost any fat, but I'm also trying to lose fat, right? I'm trying to eat less. So this is going to attack fat cells and metabolism from different angles. And while it doesn't have everything, it's still stacked for a thermogenic powder, right? And at 6.7 grams per serving, you're paying a premium for something that is priced at around $50. If you use my discount code, you can get a little bit less. So this is like if you need an extra 2% in fat burning, and you're already on the right track to fat burning. If you take this and you eat your normal food, you will not lose fat. If you're in a caloric deficit, because that's how it works, you need to eat less than you burn, then this will give you a huge advantage. You know, say you're already on that path, and you have trouble losing, you know, just a little bit, like an inch off your stomach, right? This is going to be like a major game changer for that, because of yohimban alone helps with that, right? So other ingredients will also play a role. And because you're not building the tolerance to the ingredients, so when you are at the level of where you're struggling to lose fat, even with a diet, even in a caloric deficit, then this will play a role and it will assist you in some ways, right? Not always. It's not going to suppress your appetite so much. Your appetite suppression wasn't too noticeable on this. It was slightly there, like a touch, a slight, like an afterthought. But there was definitely some burning going on, some increase in that burning sensation. The little mini ball that was huge in the last version is now downsized, but it's manageable, right? Unless you're doing really heavy oxygen demanding exercises, which makes it a little harder to exercise at your best. But I think I can see this being a really good cardio fat burner. But even though it's a little bit harder to catch your breath, and the heart rate as well seems to be a little bit higher than normal. I'm gonna post my graph, by the way, of my heart rate, and you can see it on the screen. Just gotta remind myself to do that. But Herolean. So this is a premium thermogenic powder, right? At 25 full servings. And it's not the cheapest option, but it's more like if you want to go the extra mile and you're already losing fat, or you want something in between. I don't want to say in between the strong pre-workouts, but when you're on your off day, you're doing some cardio, perhaps some walking, it could be good for you. But if you're an athlete, if you are an athlete, then obviously you don't want to take this because it has DMHA. In that case, I would recommend checking out the athlete's pre-workout video, which should be published by now. I'll put the link in the description. But honestly, it's expensive. And it has a very niche market, fat burning. And it has a very niche purpose. which is to give you the edge in fat burning. It's not the overall picture. You need to do more, you need to eat less. You need to exercise more, you need to burn more than you eat, right? So I have all these calculators on my website to help you figure out your caloric demands and whatnot and how to lose fat. I also have articles, in-depth articles about DMHA and exotic stimulants, if it's safe for you or not. So I'm gonna compare it, actually not compare it because I don't actually use that many thermogenic powders, but this definitely does give a bit more burning sensation compared to a lot of fat burning pills I've had. And it's strange, that ball of fire is there from V1, even without DMAA. So it's kind of a nice feeling just to know like you're burning up the fat a little bit. But I didn't use it long enough to say like I noticed some fat loss. Again, I am eating less than I burn, I'm pretty sure. I'm not counting calories, I'm just doing fasting and then eating in a certain window, which seems to help a lot. So I have energy. You can see I'm speaking, I'm not drained. I'm not like this is a normal day for me. I worked out today, didn't eat until now, and I woke up at like 8 a.m. Some pre-workouts, or sometimes I eat, like say I eat the day before and it was unhealthy, the next day I'll be hungry. So I did eat normally with this and I'm not hungry today. And usually that's the case with me because it's easier, I find, to fast and not be hungry because the stomach gets smaller. It's fascinating. But yeah, so if you're looking to burn fat at different angles and you want something extra, a little bit extra, and you're paying pretty much a premium for this, then I can see it being a good option. But as a way to burn fat and that's it, maybe not. If you're looking for appetite suppression, Crack OG it'll make you feel sick from the sight of food, and it takes forever to eat. I do have the review video, link in the description. But yeah, so there was one more thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, it's not a daily fat burner, right? Because you could use it daily and then stop and then use a lower stim pre-workout or no stim. That way you can cycle, do that for like a week or two, and you'll be good, like safe, relatively safe for the long term. So it's not a daily, it is a hardcore fat burner. It's not maxed out on caffeine, but it's higher than what it should be, especially considering it's combined with other stimulants. So if you are able to handle 300 milligrams of caffeine currently, then this will be a little bit of an extra jump for you. So if your pre-workout has 300 milligrams of caffeine, this should be effective for you in terms of the energy you feel. But if you're used to taking 200 milligrams, this might be a big jump for you. So it's always about like tolerance, how much you can tolerate, because for someone who's not used to taking caffeine or these kind of stimulants, will be overwhelmed, like 100%. So be careful. I'm just giving you straight up, no BS advice on how to burn fat and how to use it properly. Check out FitFrek.com for programs and in-depth reviews. Thank you so much for watching this. I really do appreciate you watching to this point. And let me know what you think about the ingredient breakdown. If you preferred that kind of format where it was like 1 point, 1 point, and 1 point, and that's it, right? Without going too much in detail about each ingredient. Especially in these review videos, you're expecting to see the review, right? So let me know if that helps or not. And if you want to lose more fat, then you gotta punch the, I don't want to smack, you punch the subscribe button, punch it or like it, and hit the like button, hit whatever button you want. I'm always happy to see negative or positive feedback. Appreciate you.